What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So as y'all know, I did end up making a video about playing Motorstorm Apocalypse in 2025 on the PlayStation 3. But I had to make another video and talk about what made this game special because my goodness, I gotta admit something, I don't think I played a racing game like this one pretty much ever. Just the way they did end up doing the level design and the insane chaoticness when you are racing. There's a few things I did want to discuss in here, so you guys are going to see me in the background right now and in a crazy race, basically on the top of rooftops going over. You can see the buildings falling over. There is a storm. There is pretty much going to be debris everywhere, and on top of that, the racers are also going to be trying to destroy you. Like, this really was going to be such an intense game. And there's something I gotta admit though, this game also makes my PS3 kind of work a bit overtime, and I was noticing only this game is doing that, and the funny part is after playing it, I can honestly see it. I mean, looking at how crazy the overall graphics on this game are, but with the entire insane thing of every single race that you're in, is basically going to have something going on in it. Now, there was a few events I did end up doing, like for example, you guys are going to see me riding a motorcycle in the background. There is going to be a few things happening, like the entire highway collapsing, but this race specifically with a few other ones wasn't going to have a ton of stuff happening in it, which I would say is probably going to be a good mix-up. Like, maybe players probably wanted things like this to where not every single track you're going to be on is basically going to be absolutely insane, which I will talk about one of the most crazy races I've ever seen in a game here in a minute. But one of the other races I did end up doing was going to be on an ATV, basically driving up and down broken buildings, at least on the top of them. And this again was going to be another crazy race, guys. Like, it really does blow my mind how they managed to capture this, right? A lot of games, I would say nowadays, on the graphic fidelity that we do have in the new games, I kind of feel like having something like Apocalypse on a new engine would probably be insane, having that probably render, and I would most likely say that would take a lot of power to be able to do it if it was pushing the PS3 to its limit. Then again, though, the PS5 is obviously going to be stronger, so that would probably be different. But when I was doing some of these races, man, I just could not believe how great they did end up capturing these and how different the races really did end up feeling. I mean, yeah, you're going to be driving a truck or like an ATV or a dune buggy or something like that, so the vehicles are different, which is also going to add on to it, because if you are riding an ATV, some of the debris and stuff like that can make you wreck, or, you know, running into a building a little bit harder compared to a car can make you wreck and stuff, and depending on how you jump, you can also completely destroy yourself. So, yeah, you kind of got to be careful there. But when you are doing events like this, that you're going to be jumping off rooftops and sliding around different corners and seeing other buildings crash throughout the laps and all that, which is also something I was completely mind blown on, the fact that when you are going through the races, they are also going to change throughout that. Like, you're going to see other buildings fall, you're going to see different things change. With that, you're also going to see the track change on top of it. Like, you might now have a new jump, or you might have a different route you have to take or something. Really is going to be absolutely crazy how this does end up unfolding when you are racing in these events. And what's funny though is the next race I was doing, I was like, oh, okay, this one's kind of normal. And then on the final lap I was doing it, a helicopter came in and was shooting missiles and destroying part of the map on it. Like, you pretty much see the whole thing get destroyed, and then boom, you're going to be on the bottom. It's going to be shooting rockets at you and stuff. And then there's also going to be like AI, or I guess you could say the NPCs around, that are going to be shooting rockets in the air, weapons and stuff like that. And they really did capture the entire Apocalypse thing to an absolute T. Like, they pretty much saw this game or looked at the old Motorstorm games and went, okay, we got to make this even crazier and way more intense. And my goodness, man, they truly did capture it. And you know what, though? That was probably the other big thing I noticed about Apocalypse. You guys know how you're playing a racing game, you're probably going to be on a track, or you're going to be on a closed course, so to speak, of that said track that you're racing on. You kind of know where to go, right? Well, Motorstorm is also going to be like that, but the big difference is it could change throughout the entire race, so that same track is probably not going to be the same on the final lap or throughout the entire event. The fact that helicopters were coming in and shooting the track and destroying stuff was insane. And I was like, okay, well, what am I going to expect the next time? You're then going to have like a crane fall, and other pieces are going to have, you have a new jump you can hit. It really is going to make the race even that much more intense. Now, the other race I did want to talk about here, I would say, is probably the most insane experience I have probably had in one of these racing games in a very long time. So in the background, you guys are going to notice me driving a very big truck. There's going to be a tornado basically a big storm, almost like a hurricane, is going to be on like a tropical island, or I guess you could say somewhere like maybe Florida or something like that, to where there's like a big storm. You can tell that there is going to be a bunch of debris everywhere, destroyed boats, and all kinds of stuff going on. There's going to be a tornado in the background that's throwing stuff at you. It really is going to be crazy to me, man. Like, I was doing this race a few days ago, and I was like, bro, what am I even doing? Like, this is absolutely insane. How is the PS3 even focusing on this? You then notice like a Ferris wheel coming in. It's just, I didn't even know what to think when I was doing this. And plus, the truck I was driving was probably going to be fairly slow. Once you got boosted, it was pretty quick. You're going to see the trees moving with the wind. You're then going to see like pretty much no other ways to drive, because everything is going to be destroyed around you. It's going to be windy. I'm honestly glad I was in a very big truck, because imagine riding in that in something like a motorcycle or something tiny. I do know it's a video game, so it's probably going to not be as insane. But I was just like, wow, they really did end up capturing this in a race, bro. So it did end up going through the third lap. Focusing on the fourth lap, even more things were going to change. Boats were flying into the map, and sometimes the AI racers would pretty much run right into them and blow up, or sometimes they'd land on top of them. And I felt like throughout the race, it was getting more and more intense when I was doing it. I was like, this is absolutely wild. Seeing the tornado in the background, seeing like a fire happening, the AI running into it or messing up or something. I was just like, how did they even capture this in a race, bro? Like, imagine having something like this in some of the newer games or something like that, guys, where the races change throughout it. I could not imagine like a crew game or one of the other games having an insane type of race like this. Don't y'all think that would probably add on to the entire dynamic part of it? I do understand the entire part of the race is probably going to be like pretty hard to code, or with how graphics are again nowadays, having something with destruction like this when you are racing, trying to keep up with everything, whether that's frame drops or different things happening, is probably hard to do. But my goodness, man, like, it was just such a fun experience in these races. And this one really did blow my mind. If you guys haven't played Apocalypse, I feel like once you do, you're probably going to be like, bro, what in the world are some of these events, man? Like, they really were that intense pretty much the entire time you were doing it. And it was really cool because you then have a different experience of like the elimination races, where I was driving a big monster truck like you guys see in this clip. And the map on this one, or at least the thing I did notice, is when you are doing the elimination races, a lot of stuff on the map isn't changing as much or as often for that matter, so you don't really have to worry about it, which is honestly a good thing. If you were having to worry about a big tropical storm of blowing boats into you or destroying the entire map, and then try not to get eliminated when racing, is probably going to make it even crazier. So I do understand that aspect, but I was driving a monster truck trying to get in front of the other racers, and even then it was still going to be intense because the track design in this game, bro, like, they really did do an incredible job at it. Now, I know it's not going to be like an unlimited amount of number of races and stuff, or, different track designs, but it was still very cool on how they did it. And with the design, I would probably say they can't have like 50 different races or something with that kind of design. That is absolutely crazy, even having the destruction of the entire map changing throughout the said race. It just really was insane. But that really probably was one of my favorite things, and that really did make Apocalypse so special to me. I never played this game back in the day, and in fact, guys, I'm going to be 100% real. I did not even know about this Motorstorm game until recently, because I was looking into older games. I'm like, yo, Motorstorm Apocalypse or Pacific Rift? Alright, let me go get these copies and play them. And I was genuinely surprised how fun these games were, but how I really wish they'd make another one, which I am going to touch on that in a separate video. Do stay tuned for it. But my goodness, though, we could probably say Apocalypse is one of the craziest racing experiences out there. And that's the other thing, is if you guys are going back in time like I have been, playing older games, like maybe you got a PS3 again, or maybe you're going back and playing the older games, because we all do know how a lot of modern games nowadays are just not as good as they used to be. So maybe you're like me, going back in time and playing some of the older games and trying to see what they were about, or maybe you never got to play them. This is definitely one of those games I would 100% recommend getting. It is going to be intense all the way through, the different vehicles you can get and stuff, and the variety. Also, the track variety is also going to make it absolutely intense. And on top of that, the AI racers with you are going to try to wreck you, crash you, which makes it even more entertaining. Honestly, Motorstorm Apocalypse for me is probably going to be one of the funnest experiences in a racing game. Just the way they had these dynamic races going on and the things that changed in these events really was going to make it a truly special experience.